So all of us have been lied to about what parenthood actually is. But it's not just women who've bought into this whole Disney thing that we've been sold our whole life. It's men and being king baby, okay? They do not have a clue what parenthood actually is. And neither do women, because like we're not told that it freaking sucks in your pelvic floor. You're gonna have to you're gonna pee yourself for the rest of your life. That you might actually die, or just be sliced open and all your guts are on the table. That you're gonna crap yourself while you give. That is gonna that parenthood is gonna ruin your career forever sometimes. Then that men will become another new child, as if they weren't already. But now that they got to compete with actual literal babies, this guy's like, but what about me? But let me tell you something. Cecilia Regina did this video. And I can't link it on TikTok, but on YouTube I'll try to link it, about the fantasy of fatherhood. And that men don't actually want children, which, we've all been saying for a while. But the way she explained it, it reminded me of in high school, carrying around flour, okay? So anybody who is not Gen X here, and maybe not every Gen X had to do this, they gave us sacks of flour in high school. I think it was like my junior or senior year. And we had to carry around a sack of flour, and we could draw faces on or whatever. And the idea is that this is a fragile sack of flour, right? And that this sack of flour is it gives us a little taste of parenthood. As if that is anywhere, which it's so funny because a sack of flour, it could be sliced open easily and it's gonna bleed stuff all over. You can't just throw a sack of flour on, but you know what people did? There were guys who were hiding it in their trunk while they're at school, So then they came up with these babies that you had to put this was, after I graduated, I guess this is what they started doing, is having babies with robotic kind of stuff in it so that it cry, and then you have to stick something in it to make, it could keep track of how much you were feeding it and paying attention to it, right? As if the physical needs alone are parenting. Although those are hard enough. To keep a baby alive, keep a toddler alive, to keep children alive, to keep people alive, because it's not just children, it's caregiving. And by the way, if you have not read Emotional Labor by Rose Hackman, please do, because this really helps you see how much this is work, how much emotional labor is work, cognitive labor, all this stuff, right? Keeping people alive, keeping everything, right? But even making sure a toddler doesn't throw themselves off a balcony in your presence. I am telling you, as a nanny, I was like, holy crap, how are these people doing this 24/7? I'm getting paid to do this, right? To make sure this kid not only doesn't die, but doesn't actually unalive themselves, because they have a death wish, like a lot of men. But with this sack of flour, and then later on, a baby that you what a terrible, I get what they were going for, but I think that just did more damage, because it gave a generation of teenagers this idea that maybe parenting isn't so bad, because it's just like carrying a sack of flour around that never cries, doesn't need any attention, isn't boring and bored. Children, once they're can talk and stuff, but babies are so boring. Okay, and I didn't learn that until I was a nanny. And one of the reasons why I became so child-free, when I was in that critical window where a lot of women end up having children they don't actually want, because the society is like, are you sure? You're nothing without a child. And women in their between 35 and 43, woo! But between 35 and 40 is when a lot of women make the worst decisions of their life. They're not married and don't have kids yet. Boom! They are getting knocked up by the hobo who works at, a kiosk in the mall, because he ate her really well and seemed nice. And now she's got a homosexual who she's going to be paying alimony to. And if she wants to leave, she has got now another a leech, a literal parasite that will never grow up, unlike a child will, right? And she's got to co-parent with this person, because she told herself around between 35 and 40, right? Because there's something about those years are the worst. God, those are the hardest years. They were kind of the best years because I didn't take the bait, but boy, was it baiting. It was like, are you sure? Are you sure, Melanie? I've never wanted to be a mom. Never, ever, 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 ever. I've never wanted to be a mom. Not when I was a child, not when I was a teenager. At no point have I ever wanted to be a mom. But right around that time, I was like, maybe maybe I don't really want it, but what if I don't want? What if I regret it? Which is why if you're not following one of my mutuals, and I'll try to remember to link her to, reads regretful parenting letters that people write in anonymously. Oh my God, if you're not following this account and you're not sure if you want kids, follow her. You will see countless stories of women who were like, I did it because I was like, well, I don't know. Or the man convinced them to, or some of the most traumatizing stories. And now they're just like, I've lost myself. I didn't want this. Now I'm stuck in this. I love my child and I hate my life, right? And so between 30, 35 and 40, or maybe even 33 or 34 and 40, watch out. That's when the homosexuals come around. That's when these narcissists, these abusers, these men who are looking for a free meal ticket for forever because you are ambitious and you're a hard worker and maybe have a great job. That's when they're looking. That is, I swear to we talk a lot about being like young women being preyed on, and I absolutely was preyed on. You know, dating a nasty, bald, like porn mustache climber man who's in his 40s when I was 21. I just want to learn how to climb, man. Next thing I know, we're dating because I was like, wait, okay, right? So many men target really young women, and they also target women between 35 and 42. Watch out, okay? And yet, women who've never wanted kids, unless they've been talking to their friends who are in the hell of parenthood, especially between 0 and 6 years, where it's just like, right? They don't know how bad it is. They know more now, thank God, to social media and women just telling their stories. Women talking. We're talking about our stories and we're like, oh my God. But if you do not have the opportunity to hear these stories, if you really aren't sure, go be a nanny. So Cecilia Regina talks about a lot of these men, they want kids, but they don't know what it looks like. And maybe they grew up like me, but bringing around a sack of flour to class. And it's just sitting there with no emotional needs, completely nervous system, totally regulated, right? They don't have it. You're not touched out by a sack of flour. You're not like going crazy because of the constant noise. I mean, if you have ADHD and you want to be, I can't believe I even nannied as someone with ADHD, right? But this idea that like this legacy or whatever, and Cecilia Regina, what did she say? She was like, if I could be a dad, I'd want 5 kids, right? And her point in that video was that men don't get a say in this. If they really want kids, who cares? If that's what you really want, you better find someone who really wants kids, or give up that idea. They don't get a say. At the end of the day, the person who is birthing that child, breastfeeding that child usually, doing all of this stuff, and then also because the patriarchy are being expected to sacrifice, and then because of patriarchy also, even if they don't want to sacrifice, are forced to because of the systemic stuff, right? They get the final say. If you're not sure if you want kids and he really does, fork him. Who cares? He doesn't get a vote. You get the vote, right? And so I am so glad during those critical years where I was like, I don't know, do I want this? Because I'm pretty sure I don't. But I'm lost. I'm waiting tables. I'm serving barbecue at 37 in LA, paying crazy rent. My creative career, I don't know what's happening with it, but is it worse? I didn't know what to do. And that's when I started asking really hard questions and went through a serious, like 5-year journey of figuring out what the hell I want for this like second half of my life. And it was a beautiful moment, but it was awful and I hated it and I felt so lost. But the one thing I did not do is marry a man in that time or get knocked up, especially the knocked up part, because now you're stuck dealing with this sperm donor parasite forever. And so what I just fell into, I quit my barbecue job because it was like my body was falling apart. And I didn't know what to do. And I ended up nannying because I had all this experience with kids teaching in the outdoors. And that made me child-free for sure. I mean, I'd always been child-free. But when the hormones and society and the whatever was like, baby, I was like, no. Because every day I was hanging out with babies and toddlers. And I saw, this is what it is? No thanks. And I also visited my sister a lot. And I love my nieces. I love them so much. I love spending time with them. But I saw firsthand what parenting does to women. And if you want that, which my sister did, she's an amazing mother. That's not for me. But what Cecilia Regina's point is, make these forkers get a taste of what parenting actually is. And even if not them, you get a taste of it. Nanny. And you'll realize, okay, no, I don't want to do that. And I swear to God, what I wish would happen is that men would get a taste of it before they have kids. And women, right? Because, oh my God, so many women that I know, and then also online, you will hear a lot of them who they as soon as these husbands could have been amazing. Well, they were so amazing. And then they had kids. So many women will, when the kids are like 2 and 6 or whatever, they will like be so done being the default parent that they're like, you know what? I'm going out of town. I'm going to go on a girls' trip. And they leave their husbands with these children for just a whole weekend. And this is the husbands that really actually love their wives. I'm not talking about the ones who literally were just like, and are just like, want the labor of women, but the women are just replaceable, right? Like all that can be replaced. It's not about her. It's about what she does for him, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about men who actually really, truly love their wives. A lot of them still don't understand what she's doing until she goes out of town or leaves them. And they're like, oh my God, ha. The invisible all of a sudden became visible. And that is the moment that where's the book? Whatever. That fair play finally started to make more sense to them if they ever read the book, which so many men won't even read the book. Oh, here it is. It's right in front of me. Here we go. Right there. I'm telling you, if you want to say, if you're a dude or if you're a woman and you want this book, and there's other books too, but Emotional Labor, Fair Play, men do not see the invisible. You have to make it visible. And a lot of times they don't see it until they literally have to do it. What I would love, and that is the moment where they're like, holy crap. It's starting, like they're starting to understand how this huge carnival is happening all the time. And they're just selling tickets maybe, or like making the popcorn, and she's doing all the other stuff. The HR department, she's making sure the rides are safe. She's making sure that the kids are going on this, and they're making sure like the concession stand, everything. He's just making popcorn, right? Maybe he's doing one other thing. Maybe he's in charge of the thing with the hammer, and you do whatever. Who cares? Dumb analogy. I'm tired of it. But a lot of times they don't understand until they have to do it themselves, that they're like, oh my God, wow, she's doing a lot. And if they love their wives and don't want to be miserable and don't want their wives and their children to hate them one day, although a lot of times the kids will end up hating the mom for what the dad doesn't do, but that's another video, they will be like, oh crap, I need to do more. This is patriarchy happening in my home, and they don't even know it until they see it and they feel it. I would love for men to see it and feel it before they convince women to have kids. Because a lot of times women are like on the fence, and the men actually want the kids because they love this idea of this. I'm the king of the castle. But you don't actually govern. You don't do anything. You literally maybe bring home a paycheck and want the authority of a king without the responsibility of it. And you're going to make the queen do everything, but you're the king. Nuh-uh. You're just a baby. You're just a learned helplessness, passive baby who rules with an iron baby fist, but could also unalive annihilate your whole family, and sometimes do. So let's start testing this out. Now, I don't mean by like being, putting anyone in danger. I'm just saying, if you really want kids, if you think you might want kids, but you're not sure, go hang out at kid places. My sister showed me this, like before she had kids, she knew what she was getting herself into. I mean, no one really knows until they're in it. But we were sitting in the grocery store parking lot, and she goes, watch how long, she saw a mom pull up with her kids. She goes, watch how long it takes this woman to get from her car to the grocery store. That's parenthood. That right there. And I swear, I was like, oh my God. Me and her, we pull up, boom, go in, come out. Oh, just to get into the store, much less actually shop, buy things, bring it out, put it in the car, leave. I'm talking just to walk from the car to the store. It took like 20 minutes to this lady. I was so glad she showed me that, because I was like, yeah, I don't want that. Like, no thanks. Definitely don't want that, because I've never wanted children. And that is one of the things you have to do when you have children, right? I am an amazing aunt. I can be that person. I can work with children, and I've been a teacher. I've been a guide. I'm a great aunt, not just to my own like blood relatives, but to in my community, my friends with children. Me and Anthony love being the aunt and uncle, other adults in their lives, and we need that in community. But we also both knew we didn't want kids. I think he was kind of like on the fence, but really didn't. And I was like, I don't. Cool. Problem solved. No decisions. Great. And you know what made me think that? Was nannying, right? And I didn't even want kids. And so if you're not sure, you and your partner should have to like be around kids. Go to freaking Chuck E. Cheese. What is that? Showbiz Pizza? Is that still around? Do they have the weird bear playing the drums and the mouse doing stuff? Whatever. Go places where you're around. Go to Disney. Well, it's too expensive, but just be around them a lot. And then also, maybe you have to babysit them once, although I don't know if whatever. I don't want to do a dangerous experiment. But I am telling you, nannying taught me more than carrying a sack of flour around. I get it, I was a teenager then. But even babysitting didn't. Nannying full time. Babies, toddlers, holy cow. That is when I got my first glimpse at what emotional labor is. I do tons of emotional labor, but I don't want to do it for children unless they're, I'm choosing to do it. I don't want to do it because I got convinced I should do this by society, or because during that crisis of those 5 years or longer where I felt lost because I don't have the achievements of being a woman. I wasn't married, wasn't even dating. Only dated one dude and he tried to unalive me. I was like doing my own thing, enjoying my life, but something even in me. So it must be even worse for a lot of women. Even in me. The tomboys, like lone wolf, outdoor adventure, whatever. Even I was like, maybe I want to be a mom. No! Papa, no! So do not let men's fantasy, Disney fantasy of being a dad convince you. If you're not sure, or you definitely are no, do not ever let them convince you that you actually want kids and that why not? You got to give him a kid. No, you don't know your parents' grandkids, and you don't know him children because he's afraid he's going to miss out on something. Because I promise you what he's going to miss out on if he doesn't really, really want to be a dad and show up and do all the things. He's going to miss out on traumatizing a bunch of people, including you, right? His legacy will be trauma and abuse, maybe, definitely neglect, and perpetuating patriarchy. That'll be his legacy. If he doesn't know what he's getting himself into and doesn't love the crap out of you and isn't willing to actively change what the generations before taught him to do. If he ain't willing to do that, he's going to suck at it. And your life will be ruined because of it. Anyway, let me know what y'all think. Please join my Patreon if you can. I'll be in the U.S. for a whole month this summer, and that's where I'll be doing most of those posts. Fingers crossed that I don't have problems. I'll probably private these accounts just to get in. Anyway, I'm going to have watch parties, all kinds of stuff. I've been I'm trying to go for nationality right now. And pretty sure I failed that test on Wednesday. So I'm really upset about it. And now I'm going to try to take it again so I can go for nationality before they change the rules. And I can't because they're doing the same stuff in France that they're doing in the U.S. Anyway, like, comment, share. Let me know what you think. Did you have to do the sack of flour thing? Because it's kind of ridiculous, honestly. I love the intention behind it, but I think it actually did more harm. Anyway, and if you can afford to go Patreon, I'm going to do some watch party and a live pretty soon, and all kinds of stuff over there. So that's what's paying the bills. Thank y'all so much. And are you happy, win-win? I brought you your dolls. I miss the puppets too. Baby babies are harder than flower babies, flower babies. What the hell? These are not babies. There's a sacks of flowers that don't cry. Cute little Hawaiian shirt and dressing them up all silly with a cute picture of a baby. But it's not a baby. It's actually a sack of flour or sugar or something. I don't know, but babies are not this cute. Baby. Big tiny baby with a big forehead, sack of baby, plays basketball as a baby. Baby projection, sack of flour is not a baby. Already, girl baby, what about, hey, I don't know, non-binary. And this baby's got a diaper on his face. It's over his nose. What the hell? What are you cooking, baby? You know, it's accurate because at least the baby's crying because that's all they do. Babies are not sacks of flour. They really fucked us in the head. We're like, I want a sack of flour, baby. I push around a carriage and it doesn't be a pain in the ass or always trying to die. Sack of baby flour is not a baby. Oh, look now. They have heads on the sack of flour, baby. Sack of flour, baby. This is not a baby. Doesn't shit itself and bore you to death and cry all the time and try to die. Baby. Sack of flour, baby. Or what the hell? Painter stick neck, what is going on? These are the babies. Babies are way harder than shitting, eating, and cry. Even electronic baby still sucks, but it's not a baby. Even the Michael Jackson twin baby's not a baby. They are harder than putting in the Target shopping cart. Also, let's boycott Target, by the way. Anyway, no more Sup Baby!